There's an alternate universe where the Bears draft Patrick Mahomes, and he's the backup for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mitch Trubisky is standing underneath the confetti right now.
I would love that. Frauds or not, Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, I don't think he's a fraud at all. I mean, this guy's making Brock Purdy look like an all-pro quarterback.
All right, so my top 10 power rankings after 8 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Number 8, coming off 3 straight losses, still have a lot of talent, but their quarterback is showing some fraudulent tendencies. The 49ers come at 8.
Wow. That's so insanely disrespectful.
Welcome back to another episode of Caps Off by the Game Day. Happy CAPeteria Wednesday. I know today's Tuesday, but we're going to release this tomorrow.
Yeah, deadline day.
But we got a very special guest on the pod.
Damn right.
Fantasy football expert and self-proclaimed Jay Cutler apologist. From Football Guys, we got Dave Kluge.
Let's
Thanks for
go.
having me on, guys. I don't know if I'd call myself an expert. You know, I play a lot of fantasy football, and I could talk the talk, but it's a rough
Your
year out
Twitter
here, man.
indicates
There's
otherwise
only
a
so
lot
much
of
you
the
can
time.
do.
You are a football guy.
But at the
Well,
very
big
least,
football guy.
At the very least, he's a smart man. We know that because he knows that Jay Cutler is the best quarterback in Bears history. So
you
that's
very
not saying
much.
much, but it's
It's
something.
not saying a lot
Couldn't
at
agree
all.
more there. My whole thing with Jay Cutler too. I mean, it's even before he came to Chicago. If you look at what he did in Denver, like 4,500 yards, wasn't taking any sacks. Like I think he was on trajectory to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and then showed up in Chicago. Terrible offensive line. Devin Hester, like a converted kick returner, was his wide receiver one, and they were just like, "All right, man, you're the savior. Go out there and get it." And he was still young. He was raw. He was a prospect, and just never really figured it out here. So I love the Bears, but I kind of hate them for ruining what could have been an all-time great quarterback.
I actually
They
totally
ruin
agree
every
with
quarterback
that.
they've ever touched, I feel like.
This should be a Jay
That's what
Cutler
I'm saying. Like
episode.
people are like, "Oh, Caleb Williams, 101. He's gonna save the franchise." I'm
Don't.
like, that's what we said about Justin Fields. It's what we said about Mitch Trubisky. It's what we said about Cade McCown. It's what we said about Jay Cutler. Like we've been through this song and dance. Like we can't.
Okay, well
do
then
it.
I'll ask you as I guess a Jay Cutler truther and a Bears fan.
Bears fan.
What do we do with Justin Fields?
That's a tough question. I mean, I really think what's going to happen is he's going to go to another franchise and put it all together, whether it's Atlanta or Minnesota or the New York Jets. I mean, this kid is dripping with talent, and they just can't put a squad around him. They can't build a scheme around him. I think he's a really good quarterback.
Yep.
We've seen him do it as a passer. We've seen him do it as a rusher. I think he's got one of the best skill sets in the league.
Yeah.
But I think that he has just completely lost the city of Chicago at this point. He's going to end up somewhere else, and I think he's going to be a very, very good quarterback. It's just not going to happen here.
Yeah.
God, what is Chicago doing with these quarterbacks?
I don't know what was Chicago thinking this year, like going into hiring a coach, right? You're like, all right, we have this really young, talented quarterback in Justin Fields. How do we build around him to make sure he has the most success? Let's get him a defensive-minded head coach.
It's a
Matt
great
Eberflus.
idea.
Perfect idea.
Because then he can
Genius.
practice against
Exactly,
strong
against good
defenses.
defenses. Yep.
And last year, they're like, oh, he needs a wide receiver one. Let's go out and get him Chase Claypool. Like, are you kidding me?
Because he had that really big 4-touchdown game like 3 years ago. That's awesome.
Well, then
Perfect.
I'll open this to everyone. Which team is a worse franchise, the Raiders or the Bears? Worst run.
Raiders got
I'll
more
say,
Super
I'll
Bowls.
say,
worst
the
run
Raiders.
right now.
Worst run right. I would still
Right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's tough.
The Raiders can't draft worth a lick. Like, they can't identify any talent. So I'll give it to the Bears because they've at least identified a few guys the last few years.
They drafted Josh
The
Jacobs.
Bears have made a
right?
few nice moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few nice moves over the year. That trading back from 101, getting DJ Moore and what could be the
That was-
first overall pick next
hell
year.
of a
That's looking
move.
pretty nice. Raiders are never pulling off a move like that.
No.
True.
They pull off moves by sticking with the 101 and drafting Jamarcus Russell. That's what they do.
Well, I think
Nah,
the Bears
bro.
could do. The Bears could do a very similar move if they hold on to one, trade Justin Fields, and take a Caleb Williams. We've seen you have a quarterback there.
would
Build
you
around
want
him.
that as a Bears fan?
I mean, I'm not kidding when I say they'll just ruin Caleb Williams too.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever it is, I think what they need to do is find a veteran that can come in. Like they don't have the infrastructure, the coach. I really think the media is a big problem too. I mean, the media like flips on these players so quickly. You have one bad game And you've got major publications, the Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Tribune, are like calling for these young quarterbacks' heads. Like you come out week 2, your rookie season, if you aren't immediately balling out, you're getting booed by the fans. I think it's just such a hostile environment that it's going to be really tough to develop a quarterback. I think now their offensive line is better than people realize. They've got DJ Moore, who's a legitimate wide receiver 1. They got Cole Kmet. They've got a decent young defense. I think the best thing to do at this point is to bring in a veteran quarterback and hope that they can figure it out, because this team just isn't going to get it done with a young developmental guy.
Ryan Tannehill to Chicago confirmed. Congratulations.
Mike Glennon 2.0.
Yes. Mike Glenn, I remember they gave him $20 million. Well, here's the thing. I enjoy hearing it from a Bears fan because, I think the fun thing to say is go get Caleb Williams. But that's the reality of the situation of somebody who's been a Bears fan and stuck through this franchise and seen them ruin other good quarterbacks who've been on good trajectories. At the end of the day, you just got to be a realist. I don't know about the veteran route because they seem hopeless. And so it's like I get the shiny new toy with Caleb Williams, but Justin Fields was just that 2 years ago too. And so to me, it's like I'd rather just not be a Bears fan and never pay attention. So I'm sorry,
Who's
Dave,
more
you have to deal with that.
Who's more
It's in my blood, man. Grew up a season ticket holder. Like I can't. I'm not the guy that can turn away from fandom.
Yeah.
But what I have done, I found a way to like dissociate myself from the losses. Like when like teams are doing bad, like people like get all down in the dumps, drink their Sundays away. I relish in the wins and I just completely dissociate from the losses at this point. They lose and I'm just like, all right, nothing I'm not used to.
I'm starting to believe that the Bears are more cursed than the Jets. To be totally honest.
Nah.
They're never good.
I think you're right.
I don't know.
I actually
actually
don't know
tough.
about
Who
that.
do you think
The
is
Bears
more
have been
cursed?
to a
the Jets or
Super
the
Bowl in our
Bears?
life.
Well, the Bears have been to a Super Bowl in 2006.
Yep, facts.
True.
Go.
They
Shout out
had,
Miami.
they've had incredible players too. Not that the Jets have had like Darrelle Revis. I mean, like that's pretty much it, right? In the past like 15 years in terms of like
Art Scott.
Hall of Fame players though.
They're both real cursed. The Jets, yeah, you're right. The Jets have had more serious like top
The
end
Bears
talent,
have
but
had like
Jets.
Brandon
that's
Marshall.
part of the
and-
Jets' curse, though. Is like they
Urlacher
get the
Riggs.
top end
Urlacher
talent
Riggs,
and they
yeah.
still can't do anything. You know
I would
what I
say
mean?
the Jets.
You would say the
Yeah.
Jets.
Jets, I think, yeah, but it's 1A, 1B.
But I also think, just to your point, and then we can move on with the Bears thing and Justin Fields and drafting a quarterback, it's like we've seen a sample size, especially recently, where you have a young quarterback and you come into a system that doesn't fit you, whether it's a defensive-minded coach, what have you, and then they go in the next year, the following year, go get an offensive-minded coach. You get the weapon, right? Like Jalen Hurts happened, Tua happened, even Josh Allen, who came into Dayball, but they went and got Diggs. Like we've seen sample sizes where you surround them with talent, you surround them with the right pieces around you, you find success. I think the Bears are actually in a really good spot. Trade back, get some pieces, get an offensive-minded coach. But if they draft Caleb Williams,
That's fair.
all right back to the shitter.
That's fair. All
And I
right.
think what's going to happen, they're going to have just enough hope next year because they're going to end up getting Caleb Williams or Drake May or one of these like good quarterbacks, and then they're going to bring in this offensive-minded coach, like you mentioned. It's going to be Ben Johnson. Maybe they get lucky and bring in Harbaugh. That's going to be enough to instill just a little bit of hope where Bears fans are going to get excited, and then it's just going to slowly unravel over the next 2-3 years, and then rinse and repeat.
It
That's what
is
happens.
it is
The
always
life
the
of a Bears fan.
slow unravel for the Bears too. It's never immediately they go like 1-16 or 2-15, right? Like it's the 3 years ago you make the playoffs with Mitch, and then you're like, oh, maybe Mitch isn't the guy. Let's get this Justin Fields guy. He has some hope, and then just fucking
Trade for Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, good
Oh,
idea.
that's a good idea.
Good idea. Yeah. Sell the team.
Rewrite your wrongs.
Okay, wait, real quick before we move on with the Bears. I have a theory, and a bunch of my friends from Chicago have the same thing. Would the Bears have ruined Patrick Mahomes? Like, what would Patrick Mahomes have done on the Bears?
Yeah, I tweeted this out a couple months ago, sometime in the offseason, kind of jokingly, blew up, went like super viral on Twitter. But I was like, there's an alternate universe where the Bears draft Patrick Mahomes and he's the backup for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mitch Trubisky is standing underneath the confetti right now in Arrowhead. That's what would happen.
I would love that. When I lived in Chicago, all my friends hated Mitch, so I made it my mission to be like the Mitch guy of the friend group. And it was tough. It was fun though. It was fun.
What an
Look,
alternate
so,
reality.
that might
Listen, if Mitch went to Andy Reid with
That's-
Travis Kelce, Tyree,
Nah.
What a timeline that would be. Oh, my God.
I think that's hyperbole, but you like that word? But I the concept is there. Like it makes sense. I understand. I think so. Other quarterbacks more so. than Mitch. Mitch doesn't have the tools that Mahomes has. Anyways.
No, you don't think?
He kind of does.
All right. Next topic.
Dave, you're catching us here on our CAPeteria episode, which is basically where we get into the cafeteria and we play a bunch of games. So we're going to basically be doing a couple of like trivia style games, some fun things that we prepared. So play along with us. It'll be a good time. Who wants to start? I know you guys have a couple of games.
I could start with frauds or not.
Yeah.
You want to do
go ahead.
frauds
Should
or
we do
not?
that?
Do it.
All right. So Dave, this is basically a game. It's very simple. It's called Frauds or Not. I'm going to say a name, a team, something, and we're just going to go around in a circle, and you guys tell me if you think it's fraudulent.
Blur it out too. No,
blur it out, and then
no need for patience.
If we'll give a little explanation as to why you think they're a fraud or not a fraud.
All right. So
we can
first,
debate.
frauds or not, Kyle Shanahan.
not
Not a fraud.
Not a fraud.
In the fourth quarter when 8+ point lead,
Because-
big fraud.
All I'm saying, the Niners going down 8 points in the fourth quarter since the Shanahan era have never won a game.
What is it? 0-36.
And if they're losing going into the fourth quarter, they've only won 3 times.
And if it's a 3+ point lead, they are 1-36. I think it was, or
Something
like
like that. It's
1-30.
pretty bad.
Not a fraud. What's his winning?
fourth,
What's
a
his
fraud.
winning percent? Like, what's his winning percentage with the Niners?
Not
At
as
all?
good as you'd think.
Really?
There's been some really bad years.
Tough.
Yeah, but
What do you think, Dave?
Oh, I don't think he's a fraud at all. I mean, this guy's making Brock Purdy look like an all-pro quarterback. He made look at the difference between Jimmy Garoppolo now and Jimmy Garoppolo when he was in
Oh,
San Francisco.
I wanted to bring that up today.
It's so evident. So I'm a big 49ers fan. I grew up out there.
What?
Yeah, thanks, dude. I'm just telling Dave, dude.
I didn't know that.
But
That's crazy.
yeah, like I'm watching Jimmy G on the Raiders this year, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, thank God we got rid of him. Like, that guy is horrific. Shanahan made him look great though.
Well, hear me out though. In the fourth, when you're losing, fraud.
Sure.
I guess if you can specify that little situation.
I just did.
You did. I credit.
How about
credit.
the 49ers?
I agree with you.
This is the follow-up.
The 49ers are not frauds.
Not
no.
frauds.
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
Not frauds.
Good. You guys are smart. I was just making sure.
Thank you. No,
All
Way
right.
too early.
This one is a little bit of a combination one. Derek Carr and the Saints.
Well, they were never anything to begin with, so I don't think they're frauds. I think they suck. They've always sucked, and they're going to continue to suck.
But they could be good.
No,
Like,
fuck
I don't
that.
know.
They started hot, right? Didn't they start hot?
Yeah.
Can I say
There was
the public
legitimate hype
pers-
for the Saints this offseason. There really was. People
That's
were
what
hyped
I
about
was-
the Saints
yeah.
this offseason. I never
People-
got it, but it was there.
People like myself are saying they're going to win like 10, 11 games.
Based off the public perception heading into the season, I will say frauds because everyone was saying that they're going to win the
You
division.
guys are really overthinking this. You can just say they're frauds if
No.
you don't like them.
Nope, I'm going to overthink it.
I'm not going to say frauds because I never thought they were good.
Jack hates the way we play this game.
I don't like, but based off the public perception. It's like,
not.
That's
no,
what fraud.
I gotta
that's what-
just
I
say
gotta
he's a fucking-
contextualize.
I'm basing it
is
off
Derek
my
Carr a
perception.
fraud?
No.
I think he's a fraud.
Yes,
'cause he
Derek Carr's a
stinks.
fraud.
Yeah.
Because he stinks.
All right.
I'm gonna say
can't
I'm
be a-
basing it off my perception, and I never
You
thought
don't
they
even
were
have to
good.
base off
therefore they're-
perception. All right.
No,
It doesn't have to be.
Dave, wait. Oh, yeah, we got someone.
Yeah. All right. Next. Aioli.
Oh, you explained this
As a
to me
condiment.
yesterday. As a condiment?
Yeah, just
it's
aioli in
practically
general.
just
No,
Mayo?
not a fraud. It
Not
was-
fraudulent mayo.
I think
Fraudulent
aioli
mayo.
is fraudulent as fuck.
Ayo-
It's a fancy
what?
way.
Aioli is the best condiment.
No, because
No,
it's
whoa,
the
whoa,
exact.
hold
It's
on.
just
No,
a
no,
fancy
it's-
word for fucking mayonnaise.
But there's so much
No,
more diversity. If
there's-
someone said to me, you can get a spicy mayo or like
You have Chipotle aioli and you have Chipotle mayo. They are the same fucking thing.
Dude,
Not a fraud.
aioli with
Not a
some,
fraud.
some
Aioli.
truffle fries and some aioli. You got to be fucking kidding me, bro.
That's mayonnaise,
That's next
bro.
level, bro.
That's fucking mayonnaise.
Yo, Felipe likes the classy shit, man.
What is the
I
Jeff?
agree.
Can't lie, I do, bro.
Okay, false.
Aioli is mayonnaise.
Aioli is actually has nothing to do with mayo. It is just an emulsion of garlic and olive oil.
That's why it's so fucking good. Think about
So
that.
you're the fraud.
What do you think
I
Dave
still think
thinks
it's
about?
fraud.
Dave, what do you
Yeah.
think?
I always thought it was just mayo. I thought you could like put any sort of flavoring in mayo and just turn it into aioli.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought too, and
That's
I
what I
still
thought
think
it
that's
was.
the case, despite Adam's
I'm still
definition.
sticking by that because I don't trust Adam's sources.
Why'd you bring up aioli?
Because Will Levis, fraud or not?
Well, it's kind of
Nah,
Fraud?
not a fraud.
No.
I'm picking him up in
Not a
fantasy
fraud.
after losing Kirk.
Fraud based off of a 4-touchdown performance. That ain't the norm.
I mean, that's sure.
Yeah,
Yep,
of course,
that's
but
what
that's not the norm for Patrick
Hold
Mahomes.
up, Dave. Why is he not a fraud?
I think he's a good quarterback. I've never understood why he slipped the way he did in the draft. I mean, he was injured last year. He never really had a wide receiver one in Kentucky, and he was still putting up numbers. I think he's a really good quarterback. I couldn't believe the way that he slipped to Tennessee. I still think he should have been a top 5 guy. He's got all the arm talent. He's got the athletic measurables, and then we saw him ball out in his first opportunity as a starter. yeah, 4 touchdowns, not going to be the norm, but it wouldn't surprise me if he can be an above average NFL starter.
Wow,
Oh,
that's good to hear. You don't think that was a blimp on the radar? He's going to keep that.
It was. I mean, like if we're projecting 4 touchdowns a week for an entire season,
but in terms of just
bad.
the good performance that he had.
Yeah, I mean, he was airing it out, which I really like to see. Getting into some nerdy metrics here, intended air yards per pass attempt. He was throwing deeper downfield than any quarterback we've seen so far this year, averaging almost 13 yards per attempt on his passes. Ooh. And that's what we knew about him. Like, he's a gunslinger, and he's going to let it rip. And then we saw those big plays coming. That's something we haven't seen from the Tennessee passing game in years. So, I mean, he took the identity of this team that we've seen for the last 6-7 years and completely flipped it on its head in his first start. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback.
I've never seen
he just hit us with the intended areas per pass attempt. Is that what you said?
Air yards,
whatever.
Areas.
I like
51.
areas. I'm just saying that's a fucking stat you're not bringing up. Where's the DVOA on that shit, man?
Nah,
the only stat I'm
that's
bringing
why
up
we
is
bring
the
the
difference
smart
between-
guys here. They bring the stats.
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Yeah,
Can I bring
my analysis why he's not a fraud is because he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Ex-girlfriend left him potentially from Morgan Wall, and that's not confirmed, but I'm not denying it either. So I think he's going to play well.
I will bring up a stat. Mayo, just canola oil and egg yolks. Aioli, garlic and olive oil.
So you got oil. It's oil-based sauce. Either
He's
way.
a fraud, and he's putting fucking egg yolks and
mayonnaise
canola oil. You know how
let
bad
me
that
go
is
back
for
to
your
this.
body?
I don't give a fuck. It's mayonnaise. I'm not putting it in my body because I think it's good for me.
All right, let's finish this Levis conversation quickly before you move on to the next one, because I want to ask you. We had a conversation yesterday about Stroud. Obviously, he's playing very well this year. Levis just had a great game. Who do you think out of this quarterback class that just came out will have the best career?
I think it's got to be C.J. Stroud. I think they're both good quarterbacks. I think they're both better than Bryce Young. But C.J. Stroud, man, what he's been doing, his trajectory to start his career, he was looking like Patrick Mahomes, Cam Newton, Justin Herbert. Those were like the only guys you could comp to the start of his career so far. And the thing is, he doesn't have like a great infrastructure around him. Like, we've watched Nico Collins for years talking about like, this guy's a really good wide receiver, but he can't put it together. He's throwing to the corpse of Robert Woods and Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and he's elevating all of the talent around him. I thought CJ Stroud should have been the #1 overall pick. I like Will Levis a lot, but I think CJ Stroud is in a different tier. CJ Stroud could be one of those top 5, top 10 guys down the road.
That was actually a hell of a segue, Lipe, because my next one is kind of based off of that. Fraud or not, Caleb Williams.
Not a fraud.
Y'all don't watch college football like that.
I know he's been underperforming. I am not.
See, look, Dave, he watched college football. Look at his face. He knows.
Look, he's been underperforming.
I think he's a little bit of a fraud.
What does he do every time he plays a good defense?
Team, he chokes.
Every time. Look how he did against Notre Dame this year. He looked fucking awful.
Sure.
I think Caleb Williams is going to be a bust. I don't care where he goes.
Oh, wow. That's a strong take.
Every time he's played a good college defense, he's played like shit.
I know that's a fact.
Bro, the Denver Broncos defense is better than the best college defense. So, like, he's going to choke.
Yeah,
like
Justin,
Justin.
you gonna say
Well, I was
something?
thinking. I'm trying to remember if Justin Herbert was good at Oregon, but it's not like he was also like he didn't have like the craziest of games and sustained success.
Yeah, but he wasn't hyped like with
No, he wasn't hyped
I
like
agree with
Caleb
you.
Williams.
Caleb Williams is being hyped to be Patrick Mahomes.
I agree with you. I'm
Yeah.
just saying the
Dude,
the
someone said he's
transition
Patrick-
from college football to the NFL. Justin Herbert made a better transition to the NFL.
Your,
So I'm
your
just
guy,
saying
Dan Orlovsky, said that Caleb Williams is Patrick Mahomes' arm talent and like scramble ability, whatever the fuck
don't
that
take
means.
credit for
Plus Lamar Jackson's legs.
I don't take ownership of Dan's
That's your
takes
guy,
unless
though.
it's
No,
about
that's your
Tua.
guy.
No, but you do.
What
Unless
if
it's
Greeny
Tua.
said it?
No, I actually don't like Greeny as much as to do with the show.
Okay.
We get like buried in all the statistics, and I can talk about the splits against like good games and all that. My concern is just that he's already way too cocky. Like, he hasn't done
That
enough
I
to
hate.
be
I just don't
playing
like him.
as cocky as he is, talking about how he needs like ownership in a team, and
That I'll
talking about how he doesn't care about the opinions of the media and all this stuff. It's like, all right, check yourself, man. Like, you're not even in the pros yet, and you're already talking about getting team ownership. It worries me a little bit. I think, I mean, I think it's too early to say he's a bust, but when he comes into the league, there's going to be a lot of people rooting for him to fail.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And
Definitely
he's
extremely
putting
cocky.
himself in that position with all of that. He didn't have to. Now, naturally,
He's painting a
some of that
target.
was going to come just because of like other people are hyping him up just as much. But he's elevating that with
Painting
how
that
he's
target on his back.
Mayhaps fraudulent tendencies.
Perhaps.
As you like to
Mayhaps.
say.
Yeah.
Mayhaps. Mayo.
All right.
Oil,
All
egg
right.
yolks.
We're going to move on. Houston Texans.
Not a fraud.
I don't like talking about calling these like bad teams frauds, bro. Like
Yeah, same. Not a
Jack's
fraud.
upset.
Fuck you guys. All right.
You say fraud?
No, I just
Dave?
don't like how you guys are playing the game.
Not a fraud.
All right, not frauds. All right, so they're good. Sure, whatever.
I'm gonna say not fraud.
All right.
'cause I didn't expect.
Give me a good one. Give me a good one.
All right,
were
the
Super
Arizona
Bowl favorites.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah, for sure.
Rangers.
Fraud. What's the record in that World Series right now?
2-1
Rangers.
Rangers. Rangers won
Yeah,
3-1.
fraud.
Adolis Garcia
But
got
Max
hurt.
Scherzer's
And Adolis
injured.
Garcia.
Adolis Garcia's injured, so
I don't know anything about.
Would you
World
say
Series.
that the Diamondbacks are frauds, though, Felipe? Is it-
Absolutely.
nah, because
why is
Randy
that?
Johnson's having a good series.
Because, all right, Dave has no idea what we're talking about. So, Dave, half of
Are
this
you a
podcast,
baseball fan at all?
I used to be. I just don't have time, especially
Yeah,
now this
all
time
right,
of year.
so-
I'm balls deep in football. I can't watch baseball.
So half of this podcast, Matan and Jack love baseball. Adam and I can't watch it worth a lick, and so we always I'm from Texas, so naturally
Texas.
a Rangers fan. Not never watched the Rangers game in my life really, but now
Naturally.
we're Rangers fans, so we talk about the games every now and then and pretend like we know what we're saying.
I'm
We
only
do.
I'm only a Mets fan. I haven't watched a single pitch of the World
I'm a
Series.
Seaman.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love going to baseball games, like
Yeah,
sitting out in
it's
the
all
sun,
sport to
eating
go
a hot
to,
dog,
wow.
drinking beer. It doesn't get better than that,
Totally.
but I
That's
cannot
a
watch it on TV.
But for you,
Fraud take.
are the Diamondbacks frauds? Yes, frauds.
Frauds? All right.
Frauds.
I thought Lipe was going to go like how he did with the Astros last
Yeah.
week. Frauds. All right. Brian Dable.
Yeah.
Oh, fraud and a half.
Fraud. Fuck him.
Not a fraud.
Fraud.
I don't think he's a fraud.
What does he have to work
Fraud.
with?
I've never seen such a
You're
coaching.
so right.
I've never seen such a coaching dip.
What?
We didn't get or lose anyone.
So you dipped, but then last year, was that not an increase? You had the same fucking people.
Okay, yeah, he was went from coach of the year to coach of the never.
Oh, good one.
Fucking-
Matt
he
Nagy was coach
sucks.
of the year too.
Not a fraud. Brian Daboll's not a fraud. Look what he did in Buffalo. Look what he did to Josh Allen. That wasn't Ken Dorsey.
No, but he had Josh Allen.
Remember Monte High School?
Shout out to
Diggs.
Miami. No, Brian Daboll's not a fraud. Nonsense.
I think Daniel Jones is the fraud if we're trying to find the fraud. for the Giants.
Did GJ fool us all last year?
Wait,
He wasn't even good.
thank you. That's what I'm trying to
He really
say.
wasn't.
I think Joe Shane is the fraud.
The idea that Daniel Jones is a fraud. That's why I can't say the Texans are a fraud because like they were nothing to begin with.
I also don't
Daniel
think
Jones-
DJ's a fraud.
Who?
DJ? Daniel Jones? I also don't think he's a fraud.
That's fine. Look, I mean, yeah, I agree. The Giants don't have any weapons to work with, so it's like from there, it's kind of tough. They overperformed last year for sure. I do think at the bigger picture is what he did with Josh Allen. You can't undermine that. So
Also, what he
maybe
did
he's not a
last year,
fraud.
they won games. They made the playoffs.
They did. They won a
Daniel
playoff game.
Jones didn't throw touchdowns, didn't throw for
And
a lot
yet
of
they
yards. but
won games.
But Daniel Jones won them every single game they won. Like if you actually watch those games, he was the reason they
Oh,
won.
so you're saying Daboll wasn't even responsible for the
No,
wins
no,
last
of course. Paired with the coaching, Dable coached great last
Come
year.
on.
I'm just saying.
just
saying
said-
Daniel
Overreact.
Jones didn't have a good year last year. Yes, on paper the numbers weren't there, but he would rush into the end zone. He would make big plays down the stretch of the games. We would come from behind and win games.
As much as everyone loved to overreact, Brian Daboll's not a fraud.
He's a fraud. I'm saying fraud. Fuck.
All right. We have two more, all right? This game's been really good so far. All right. Fuck you guys. Geno Smith.
He's not a fraud.
Why not?
He had a fraudulent year.
No. Well, because
Yes.
did you see that throw he fit in quadruple coverage last week to Trey McBride? I only need one play. I only need
Wait,
one
wait,
play.
wait.
That not many
what?
quarterbacks
Wait,
can
what?
make that.
Trey McBride?
Oh shit.
He knows he's not.
Josh Dobbs?
Was
Nope,
that a Josh
Josh
Dobbs?
Dobbs
Are we
did
talking Noah Fant? What are we
That
doing?
was a Josh Dobbs throw.
Okay.
God damn it.
You're doing great, though.
Geno
so,
Smith.
Geno
Did you-
Smith.
Josh
Geno
Dobbs
Smith.
not a fraud.
Josh Dobbs not a fraud. Shout out. Geno Smith. I don't think he
tendencies.
necessarily is. Like, yes, he's had some down. The past few games have been bad. Even this past game,
whole year.
didn't play well. No, but he's had some decent performances. He has talent around him. Hasn't performed up to his standards from last year.
I'll say fraud.
I don't think he's a fraud still.
Ultra mega super fraud.
I'll say fraud
You
only
guys are talking about
because
the last two games. He was bad the whole second half of last year.
Thank you.
I think that's what people like. He
no.
started off real hot. I think he took a lot of people by surprise, and then defenses said, "No, we're not going to let Geno Smith beat us," and they haven't. I think Geno Smith is a little fraudulent.
talk that talk.
So you're
Dave.
saying
Talk
Geno-
that
This guy
talk.
knows fucking ball, dude. He knows ball.
So you're saying Geno did right back?
He did.
Yeah, he started.
think
He's
so.
writing the letter right now.
Good
It
take.
just took about until week 9 last year.
See, this guy fucking.
Don't worry, I'm
knows.
going to fix the Seahawks for you on my
So
hypothetical
Seahawks.
traits.
That's fair.
Are the
No,
Seahawks
I
frauds?
meant Geno.
Geno, I don't think he's a fraud just because I didn't think he was what he was last year. Okay,
By
actually,
the way,
I
I
take it back.
agree with them. That is how you would play this game.
No.
Just that.
No. It's simple. All right, the last
He
one.
had a fraudulent year.
The last one. Candy corn.
I never
Happy
had it.
Halloween. Candy corn. Fraud or not?
Candy corn?
Fucking
I've never
horrible.
had it.
Fraud.
It looks disgusting. I've never
Fraud.
had it.
I hate it. Not for me.
I'll say fraud as well.
I don't think they're fraudulent. I think people like the hate. It's like Nickelback.
No, not frauds. So
Nickelback fraud or not?
not a fraud.
Nickelback, not frauds, first of all. But
What about Halloween?
I think candy corns and almond joys are like Nickelback, where people love to hate on them, but deep down, you like.
Yeah, but the
them.
difference
it's the
between
popular thing to
Nickelback,
hate.
Almond Joy, and Candy Corn is Nickelback has bangers.
From what I remember about
Almond
Candy
Almond
Joy
Joy
is
is
not
good.
bang. No.
Almond joy's good. It's
Nope.
it's a
I haven't had
chocolate-covered
either
nut.
in like a decade. And
haven't
from
had
what I
Almond
remember
Joy.
about both of them, especially candy corn, is that it's mid.
Dave.
Not a big candy guy, but when I did, like when I was like 7, 8 years old, I loved candy corn. So
See?
I'll say it's not. It was like my favorite candy as a little kid.
But it's not
Oh,
candy.
You know what the best
corn.
day of the year is too? Is tomorrow, November 1st. All the candy on sale if you go to CVS. Big time. The variety pack.
oh, they're trying to get
Candy
rid of
sales
the
from-
Oh
Halloween
yeah,
candy.
diet starts January 1st, boys.
Nope, it
It's
already
2
started.
months. Nice.
Yeah, well, you got
Hey, that was
you got Thanksgiving,
Jack.
you got holidays and shit.
Good game, Jack.
No, you guys. It was a good game. You guys fucked it up.
Jack, you did a great job.
I thought it was great. You did a great
I
job.
had a great time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of frauds this week.
Adam, do you want to give us, with the trade deadline coming up
deadline day.
this week?
Nope. Deadline day. This comes out
Oh,
tomorrow.
that's today. Deadline's
Deadline
today.
day is today,
I
but
guess. Yeah,
deadline.
yeah.
So by the time this episode comes out, Patrick Mahomes had already been on the Bears. So congratulations,
Yeah, of
Dave. I'm
course.
super happy for you.
Give us some hypothetical trades.
Yeah, so I came up with a bunch of hypothetical trades that factors in trades that would actually never happen and then trades that you would maybe want to make in fantasy. So just play the game, have fun with it.
What do we have
Which
to do?
side wins out of these hypothetical trades, okay? I'm just going to say, I'm just random trades.
Yeah.
Hypothetical trades. Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert
Ooh.
for Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. Who wins
Oh.
and which side do you prefer?
I'd rather get.
Smith and Goddard.
Yeah, I'd rather
I
get Smith and
think so,
Goddard.
too.
I think.
Unfortunately.
Oh, Dave saying no.
Dude, you get
the
Travis
problem,
Kelce and
the thing
AJ
I'm factoring in here is
Kelsey's a
age.
cheat code.
Yeah, he is. I was about to say, though, the thing I'm factoring in here is age. Is like Rashee Rice is not nearly as good as either of the other two guys, and Travis Kelce's 35.
I don't know. Rashee Rice has looked pretty damn good this year, and he's a
Patrick
rookie.
Mahomes.
'Cause he has
Okay,
Patrick Mahomes.
and you could get Jalen Hurts.
Oh, that's the same guy.
They are the same guy.
Yeah. One doesn't need weapons. One needs.
I would
Dave.
take the Travis Kelce side.
What were you gonna say, Dave?
I like the Kelsey side by a landslide. I think Dallas Goedert is just kind of in that like flat tier of tight ends where
I
he's
hate
not giving you like a huge positional advantage. Like you can go pick up Trey McBride off the waiver wire and get the same type of production that you're getting from Dallas Goedert. Kelsey's giving you like a 6-7 point advantage over every single tight end. And then I think Rashee Rice, I think we haven't really seen it all come together yet. He's kind of a part-time player. He was a second-round rookie, kind of raw coming into the league, but he's drawing targets on a per route run basis better than almost anybody in the league. Like you look at his route run metrics, he's up there with Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. All we need to see is his snap share grow a little bit. We've seen that over the last few weeks. For 4 straight weeks, he's been number 2 in targets behind Travis Kelce on a limited workload. I think if we can see him get up to like an 80-90% snap share, full-time player on this Chiefs offense, I think he's got wide receiver 1 upside.
Okay.
Man.
All right. So Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. I have
I
converted.
love this.
As a reminder, play this game how you will. If you want it in fantasy, if you want it in real life, but it's kind of cooking it up based off of fantasy trades. I just wanted to make that.
So this would be real life trades, but if they were made like how fantasy.
it's
How
like
players-
real life trades, but if you use
It's
the
two
fantasy
people.
logic.
It's like a person from each of the same
yeah.
team.
Like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
trades would
So
obviously never happen.
There's no
but,
draft
like,
pick bullshit.
Yeah, because like obviously
Devontae
Travis
Adams for a
Kelce
4th round pick. Some
in
shit.
fantasy you'd rather have over those two, but
Yeah,
then on the same time, let's talk about
It's like
real
an
life.
NBA trade.
Here's
Real
another
life,
fun
I might
one.
take Dallas Goedert because he's still got another 5-6 years left in the tank.
See?
I don't know how much we got left to Travis Kelce. So
See?
real life, I might take the other side.
Ooh,
Well,
right.
see, it's real
So,
life.
so how do you want us to evaluate?
I want you to
this?
evaluate how you. That's my water bottle. I want you to evaluate these hypothetical trades however you'd want to. But
No,
I
but
apply-
then we're all answering different
But that's
things.
the
Yeah,
fun
you
part
gotta-
about it. I'm taking the logic of fantasy trades and applying
Just
it to
give
like
us
in
the
real
next
life.
one.
The next
All right.
one. Here we
So
go.
These are real life
We're
trades.
analyzing what it means to be a fan.
These are
I'm going
real
to do
life-
both.
Here's a good one. Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane for Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs.
I'm taking that one. Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and
So the
Jahmyr
Dolphins
Gibbs.
then get
No.
Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and Gibbs. Jared Goff gets Tyreek and Achane.
I want Tyreek and Achan.
I want the latter.
I think Achan is a product of that Mike McDaniel offense and scheme and everything. He's just fast as shit.
I want
Well, not
fast
many
as
coaches
shit.
would be able to utilize H.N.
Yeah.
the way McDaniel. That's
Exactly.
for sure. Tyreek Hill is independent.
he's
He'll do
universal.
whatever he does anyway.
I also think Jahmyr Gibbs is also a universal player. Amon-Ra.
Yeah, Gibbs is nice. Laporta.
Bro, if you had Amon-Ra, Jalen
Amon-Ra.
Waddle, Tua can throw to him. Then you got Jahmyr Gibbs out of the back. Imagine if Mike McDaniel had to be able to figure out how to utilize Jahmyr Gibbs. He'd have so much fun.
Well, they want to.
Yeah,
He wanted.
what
Jahmyr
about
Gibbs.
what
are you
about
saying, Dave?
Achane looking like fucking Chris Johnson out there?
He does. What are you
He's
saying,
just
Dave?
fast.
Which side do you prefer?
I take the Lions package. Give me Amon-Ra, Gibbs, and Laporta.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that's been missing from this Miami offense is a good tight end. And if you can put Sam Laporta in that offense, really elevates it. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is just an all-around better player than Achane. And I don't know if he's a product of Mike McDaniel, like one of you guys said. I think that he's a good player. I think he'd succeed in just about any offense. But I think if you swap the two of them, Jahmyr Gibbs is instantly the best running back in the league in that offense.
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
That's a fact.
All right, I got one.
I just love
This is
Tyreek.
for your San Francisco
Thank you, brother.
Giants. But I'm going to kick it to Dave first. So, Dave, you be the first to answer this. We're going to IDP a little bit, all right? Pat Surtain and Jerry Jeudy for George Kittle and Deebo Samuel.
Give me Kittle and Samuel. Pat Surtain hasn't been that good this year. I think we're kind of looking from years past where he's been good, but he's graded as like one of the worst coverage cornerbacks so far this year. And a lot of that could just be lack of motivation, like, having to play with Sean McVay. I think it's pretty tough to get fired up playing for Sean McVay.
Sean
Might
Payton.
attribute some of that to Jerry Jeudy as well, but I just don't think that Jerry Jeudy is going to step up. I think we're still holding on to that first round draft capital, what he did in college, but he hasn't really put it together in the pro level now. He's going in his third year already. Still hasn't really done it. We've seen years of success from Kittle and Deebo, so I'd take those guys.
Well, if we're talking fantasy wise, Pat Surtain isn't an option. So I
It is
obviously
IDP.
It is
IDP.
IDP.
Oh,
So I said started with IDP.
No, but
I would flip it,
talk
though.
real life. Talk real life.
real life. I'd rather the Niners guys too, just because. Yeah, just because Kittle is still the second or third best tight end.
But hear me
in
out.
Football. Debo is such a weapon. Jerry Jeudy stinks.
Remember,
Hey.
Kyle
I'm
Shanahan.
not a Jerry Jeudy.
We
Jerry
played
Jeudy
Kyle
does.
Shanahan.
I was really rooting
Hear
for
me
that
out.
1,000 yards last season, so
I'm
Jack
with
could
you.
get
Jeudy
that
stinks.
tattoo.
Hear me out, though. We played fraud or not, and we talked about Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, what he could do with Jerry Jeudy,
Facts.
and did Kyle Shanahan? Sorry, didn't.
Sorry,
did Kyle
I think-
Shanahan make
No,
Debo and George Kittle?
No,
What?
Debo's
question.
way more talented than Jerry Jeudy is.
No, I agree with
Agreed.
that, but I'm just
Like-
saying from if we just look
Well,
at pure wide receiver,
I like the
Debo hasn't been able to do.
flashiness of Kittle
fair.
and
That's fair.
Debo.
Okay.
I like the
as a
flash.
Niner
All right, well, I
fan,
got a lot
want,
of trades,
I want
so
a
we wanna
corner
move.
so fucking bad, but I'm not doing it for that.
Okay, I want to move into this next one.
I want Jalen Johnson. I want your boy.
Here's a fun one. It's a little bit of a dynasty framing to it because I had to figure out a way to make it work.
Yep.
Kyler Murray for Tyler Algier, AJ Terrell, and a second. Now I want it in real life, but I had to make it work because they don't really have much to offer.
If I'm the
in
Falcons, just
Atlanta.
fuck it. Give me Kyler. I don't
Atlanta
care.
doesn't have much to offer.
I would do that if I'm Atlanta.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would do
Bijan.
it.
It's worth it.
Kyler easily.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
No
Cardinals don't
question.
get anything in that trade, I feel like.
Yeah, dude. AJ
Well,
Terrell's a
You
damn
get a
good
running back
corner.
because James Conner's on the way out and older. AJ Terrell, you get a cornerstone corner, and then you get a second
a cornerstone corner.
Yep, I did that. All right, here we go. Here's the fun one. Free Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs
Whew.
for DeMarcus Lawrence, Brandon Cooks, and Tony Pollard.
Cowboys scrape.
Hold up. Who's on the Cowboys?
DeMarcus Lawrence, Brandon Cooks, and Tony Pollard.
I want Adams and
You
Jacobs.
guys scraped the.
But you got to keep in mind the circumstances. DeMarcus Lawrence has been like one of the best interior linemen this season,
Well, he's a defensive end.
but in terms of PFF's interior lineman,
They put him in the
rank-
interior.
Yes, he was ahead of Micah, by the way.
On
Yeah,
interior.
DeMarcus Lawrence has been one of the best defensive ends since he came in the league.
I want the
What'd you do,
Raiders.
Felipe?
I would keep what the
I think
Cowboys
the running
have
backs
now.
are
I
a
think.
wash. Pollard and Jacobs, I don't think there's a huge difference between
Yeah, there's
those.
not.
I think if you swap them, you're getting the same production from either guy. Give me
What?
Adams.
Devontae.
Devontae Adams doesn't make that big of a difference. I
That.
mean, like, look, you'd be pairing him with McCarthy again. Nice. But
Dude.
the Cowboys' offense is predicated off of how
Predicated.
good is McCarthy coaching, not necessarily that second wide receiver. Or I guess Devontae would be the first, and I'll see
CD's
the second.
the
That's
second.
a nasty receiver
That's
duo.
insane.
Yeah,
But
that's
it doesn't make that big. It
disgusting.
doesn't make that.
I also
big of a
think
difference.
Jacobs is like Jacobs did more with less on the Raiders.
All right, I
So,
wanna
like,
keep moving.
think
I
there's
got
an
a
argument
lot.
to say Jacobs is better.
Oh,
than
he has
Pollard.
a ton, so we have to continue.
All right, 1-for-1. Jonathan Taylor for Travis Etienne.
Oh,
I'm taking Taylor.
yeah, same.
Yeah.
Taylor.
I think real life Taylor. Fantasy, I'm taking ETN though.
Good
Yeah,
call.
that's
good take.
good analysis.
All right, here's where it gets fun. Derrick Henry rumors to obviously Buffalo. Buffalo's always needed a running back. They just brought in Leonard Fournette, but we're going to switch it up. Alvin Kamara and Rashid Shaheed for Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, and Gabe Davis.
What did that have to do with Derrick Henry?
Because Derrick Henry
Real quick,
was.
did you see Henry? There was a trade like completed to Baltimore, and the Titans owner vetoed it, completely shut it down, and said they weren't doing it.
That's
That would have been
That
so
would have been
much
fun. That would have been real fun. Sorry, can you repeat that?
That would have been crazy.
So I think Alvin Kamara's been great. Rashid Shaheed, obviously, second year and has looked good. Alvin Kamara and Rashid Shaheed for Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, and Gabe Davis. They get a running back.
I would take the Bills side. I want that. Even for the long term, too.
You want Cook, Kincaid, and
Cook,
Gabe
Kincaid,
Davis?
and Davis. I don't really care about Davis, but Cook and Kincaid, give me that all day.
Dave?
I think Rashid Shaheed's a much better wide receiver than Gabe Davis. I think if you put him in that Buffalo Bills offense, he would be lighting it up.
Totally
I
agree.
think I might take that side. James Cook hasn't really been all that. Kamara would be what everybody wanted James Cook to be, except he'd actually be productive and efficient. So I think I'd take Kamara and Shaheed on that Bills offense would be a ton of fun.
You're not mad if you stick with Dawson Knox too at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's
fine.
true.
That was,
Right,
that was the
exactly,
thought
yeah.
process. That was the thought process. All right, here we go. Kyle Pitts for T. Higgins.
Oh,
I mean,
I do it. I do it if I'm the Bengals. I do it because you
want
got
T.
Tyler
Higgins.
Boyd, put him at the 2, and then you bring in
Kyle Pitts technically feels like T. Higgins. at
Yeah,
that
I
point.
want T. Higgins. He's better.
But T.
I
Higgins,
think,
they should
honestly,
trade
I
him.
think both teams do it.
Dave, what do you think?
I mean, it makes sense in real life. I'd really like that. I'm thinking through it right now. I mean, that's what both teams kind of need. I think you could argue that Kyle Pitts is the better receiver too, even though he plays tight end. I mean, we haven't really seen it because he's been hamstrung by this offense. But yeah, I think I'd take Kyle Pitts over T. Higgins.
All right, last two, and this is where it gets fun. Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee for Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews.
I want Zay and Andrews.
Yeah, there's a high ceiling there for sure.
I mean, I'd rather have Zay and Andrews just because Zay's age.
I mean,
honestly.
Higbee's like, I'm going to cut him. If I take that trade, I only want Kupp. Like, I don't need Higbee.
you're right.
but that does give Baltimore like that wide receiver one.
And does
that
Mark
doesn't
Andrews
matter.
benefit from Lamar rolling outside the pocket? I don't know. Could we see Higbee in a different system find success?
No, I don't. I think it's so far out. I think the Ravens win this by a lot, or the Ravens side. Like
The Ravens play.
The Rams
players
would
of the
win this.
Ravens. Yeah, the Ravens.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Dave?
Flowers and Andrews pretty easily for me. Higbee, I mean, we've seen like little tastes of success when like nobody else is healthy in the passing game, but he's not a game changer the way that Mark Andrews is. And then Cooper Kupp, I hate to say it, but we saw him in the league for like 4 or 5 years where he was kind of like a middling wide receiver too. Matthew Stafford is what really elevated him. I'm afraid that if you put Cooper Kupp in a different offense, he wouldn't be the same productive guy he's been the last 2.5 years in Los Angeles. So give me Andrews and Zay Flowers. They're both game changers.
Dare I say, product of the system you are, Cooper Kupp?
That was funny.
Yoda?
dude.
Was that Yoda?
No, that was just hopefully someone comes back with it. And last but not least, the 10th hypothetical trade that would never happen. Deshaun Watson and David Njoku for Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and Zach Charbonnet.
Ooh.
I
want the Seahawks
Geno's
players.
side.
Yeah.
Well, Deshaun fucking sucks now, so
Hold on,
take anyone over him
I
right
would
now,
love
bro.
to hear from a smart man. What the hell is going on with Deshaun Watson this year?
Well, first, which
I
side
don't
of this
know.
trade are you taking?
I mean, I'd take the Geno Charbonnet, and I don't even know who Tyler Lockett, you said, right?
Yep.
I'd take that side. I think Zach Charbonnet's a dog. We just haven't really seen it because he's been buried behind Ken Walker. I love Zach Charbonnet, though. I don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Take it off like my analytical hat for a second. I really think that it's just him having a fully guaranteed contract. There's like no incentive for him to put his body on the line and go out there. And normally people are playing when they're banged up and not feeling 100%. Every NFL player is at this point in the season. He's been medically cleared since week 4, and he was medically cleared to come back in last week. And I think that because that whole contract is fully guaranteed, he's just kind of shrugging his shoulders. Think about it. Like, you guys are doing your podcast. You're putting in a ton of work right now. If your advertisers said, all right, we're going to pay you X amount of money for the next 8 years, whether you guys do well or not at this podcast, you'd probably kick your feet up.
Oh,
Stop
yeah.
trying to
Nailing
act
it
quite
the
as hard.
fuck
I mean, I really think there was a reason the NFL owners didn't want a fully guaranteed deal, because it completely changed the precedent of how Deshaun Watson's playing. And again, this is totally out there. This is kind of like my conspiracy theory, but I think Deshaun Watson, there's just no incentive for him to go out and play hard. So he's just coasting through and collecting checks.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if
Honestly,
you could just opt to not play football but get paid for playing football.
honestly, can't
Okay,
blame him.
You're
I
saving
might
your
do
body.
so.
You're
$250
saving
million.
your mental.
I'll put a
Yeah.
clause in this
It's
trade.
insane.
Deshaun Watson's guaranteed contract is no longer fully guaranteed
In this trade,
in this trade scenario,
meaning he plays well.
meaning he might have to play.
Okay, I still would take the Seahawks guys.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Tyler Lockett, too, is an awesome little,
Yeah, he's
Agreed.
great. He's
little piece.
one of the most underrated receivers.
Him and Amari Cooper would be insane.
Also, Charbonnet is nice.
Hell yeah, he
I
is.
take
Yeah.
the Deshaun side.
Well, Charbonnet wouldn't play that much when Nick Chubb's healthy. But
Dude, good
All
game,
right, well,
man.
hey, those are my hypothetical trades that will never, ever happen, but thank you for playing.
could
Good
happen.
game, man. Hey, Felipe, you've been giving your power rankings each
All right,
week.
let's do it.
And this week is probably the first week, I would assume, I haven't seen your rankings yet, that there would be any kind of shuffling on the power rankings.
I'm not gonna lie. There's been some shuffling, but
Shuffle.
it was hard because I could really keep it this. So many teams lost that I'm like, really, it's a wash. It could stay the same. Some teams that have better records than others, I don't think are as good. But I had to have fun with it and move some teams up. So
Before you get into it, Dave, I'm curious, just off the dome, let's just get Dave's power rankings real quick so that we can then see and we'll compare them to Felipe's power rankings.
So the week
all right?
9
Top 10.
power rankings?
So you can off the dome team power rankings after week 8. Dave, what is your list?
I think the Eagles are number one. I think they're the best team right now. It's going to be really tough to beat them. Working my way through, trying to make sure I don't forget anybody here off the top of my head. I think,
Texans.
yeah, I'm going Eagles number one. I still think the 49ers are up there too. Even after a few down weeks, I still think they got it together and just had some pretty bad luck. I'm going to go with Kansas City at 3. Even though they have also had some bad games, I try not to be too overreactive to a couple down games here. Feels like I'm forgetting somebody in this top 5 right now.
We could throw out a few names.
Dolphins,
the
Bills,
Cowboys,
Ravens.
yeah.
Dolphins are up there at 4. Actually, I'd put the Dolphins right now probably ahead of KC just because we've seen it pretty consistently throughout the season. And then I'll stick the Ravens in at 5. How about that? Ahead of Dallas.
Ahead of Kansas City.
I got him ahead of
No,
Dallas
no.
too.
Yeah, you said
No,
Dolphins.
Kansas City's 4. So I'm going Philadelphia,
Oh.
San Francisco, Miami, Kansas City,
Oh.
Baltimore. That's my top 5.
Nice.
Ooh.
Are you're a big Lamar guy? You got that is that a signed jersey behind you?
It is, yep.
That's
Big
sweet.
Lamar fan. I have been since he came into the league, man. He was another one of those guys that I thought should have been drafted much higher than he was. It's crazy that, like, after an MVP, after setting records, like, looking like a good quarterback, he's going into, finally got the big deal. He's in year 5, year 6 now, and there's still doubters out there that
Yeah,
think
it's
Lamar
insane.
isn't a good quarterback. It
Fuck him.
blows my mind.
We've been talking about this a lot on the podcast. Do you think Lamar Jackson should be the leader in MVP odds right now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what he's doing right now, we were hoping that this Todd Monken offense was going to completely revamp everything in Baltimore. And it takes time to implement a new offense, and we saw that the first 3-4 weeks. Things were kind of slow, but it's clicking on all cylinders right now. He looks like the best quarterback in football.
Yes, he
Adam?
does.
Counter?
Yeah, my counter would be I don't think he's the favorite just yet.
Now here's Josh's counter. Oh, but the Ravens won by 20 points last
No, the
week.
counter
But he
is-
had a bad QBR.
No, the counter is simply
No,
just
the
Tua.
Yeah, that's my counter.
Good counter.
That's it.
Y'all
That's
think-
the only counter.
Now, y'all been countering with, he had a bad QBR against the Texans, even though they won by 15. Oh, he had a bad QBR this past week, even though they won by 15 before the garbage time points.
So he's got a good
Y'all
team.
been countering with that. I'm just saying.
Counter, Tua.
Felipe,
That was the only
let's
counter.
compare your
Nah, you
your
said that.
I
power
also don't think
rankings.
Lamar has been like
Felipe,
this.
give us hook us in, dog.
All right, so my top 10 power rankings after 8 weeks.
Eight
Yes,
weeks.
sir.
I had to make some changes, like I said, okay? Had to have fun with it. Number 1 is the Eagles, obviously, right? Only 1 loss, I believe.
Diehard Eagles fan, of course.
No, they're going to lose this week to Dallas 38-17. Woo! All right. Number 2, we got the Chiefs. Still, bad week, but Mahomes was sick. Don't count it against them, all right? Number 3, I have the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh.
Baltimore.
I think they're that
That's
high.
ridiculous.
I
They're
love
6-2. They
They
got
are
the
not
second.
the third best team in football.
They have the second best record in the league.
Your ranking, not mine. So
Wins and
Thank you.
losses, man. He's a wins and losses guy.
Well, there's other teams that have the same.
yeah,
They are,
I know.
and the next one is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh,
Lord have mercy.
Disre two packs.
5 straight wins for the Jags. Big wins there too. Beat the Bills. 5 straight wins. They've knocked off some good teams in the past few weeks. So Jags are 4. You're right, 6-2 as well. There you go. Number 5, another team with 2 losses, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I had a feeling that one was coming.
Adam, this is
Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Number 6, the Miami Dolphins.
Niners are
Haven't showed up
scary.
against big teams.
Number 7, this team is back. The Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good. I
There you
like
go.
this one.
I like that.
I like that one.
Jack.
Number 8, coming off 3 straight losses, still have a lot of talent, but their quarterback is showing some fraudulent tendencies, as my friend to my right likes to say.
Who is right?
The 49ers come at 8.
Wow. That's so
Oh
insane.
my God.
Disrespectful.
The Lions at 9 and the Bills at 10. A few teams could have been at 10. I just went with the team with the best quarterback. There's a bunch of weird teams in that situation that have like 3 or 4 losses.
Are you doing
And
some of
so-
these based off like who teams have beaten and what have you too?
What have you?
I mean, sort of.
Yeah. Because you got the Bengals ahead of the Niners. 'Cause they
Which
beat
just
us,
happened, right?
Yeah,
Which just
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
So that kind of did weigh in there. If that happened in like week 3, then that would have been
You're
different.
not
'cause
going like
things
Bills
changed.
over Dolphins though because the Dolphins beat the Bills. I'm just curious. Or the Bills beat the Dolphins, I mean.
What?
But
I
the Bills
just
also,
I just want to look at your
but the
list
Bills
is
also
what I'm
lost to
saying.
the Patriots, and the Dolphins swept the Patriots.
Yeah, no, you can't do the whole like, oh, this team lost to that. You got to look at this
So
past week.
you
and what just
legitimately
happened.
think the Cowboys are better than the Dolphins and the 49ers right now?
I think they're better than the Dolphins. If the Cowboys would have played the 49ers today with the injuries that the Niners have, I think it would be a different game than it was in week 5 or whatever it was. I think if it's a matchup and both teams are fully healthy and McCarthy coaches poorly like he has been, except for this past week, the Niners would still smoke the Cowboys.
Dave, what do you think about those power rankings?
I like that you were higher on Baltimore than I was. I thought I was going out on a limb putting them at 5. I like that you had them up there. You're a Cowboys fan, I take it, Felipe?
Yes.
What gave it away? What gave it away?
Thinking that bias might have blended into the rankings a little bit. Dallas looked good last week. I'll give it to him, but I don't know if we could put him up that high quite yet. Overall, though, I like it. I like Cincinnati, putting some respect on them at 7. They're a team that realistically, I mean, we're looking at the full season and have some doubts, but over the last 3 weeks, they've looked back. Joe Burrow looks healthy again, so might even be a little bit too low on Cincinnati. I completely forgot about them, but they probably should have been inside my top 5.
Thoughts on Niners at 8, possibly?
Or Dolphins at 7?
Are we overreacting to the Niners right now?
I admit I am overreacting. I said that I could have kept stuff the same as last week.
But I would defend Felipe. I wouldn't put them at 8 personally, but I do understand the logic.
3 straight losses.
Three straight losses.
You lost to PJ Walker. You lost to Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Kirk Cousins
and
is
prime
good.
and prime time is
he
very
might be
bad.
The worst quarterback in the last 28 years.
Literally. And then you lose to who they lose to this past week?
Joe Burrow, which is
That was a good one because they're back. That's
No,
fine.
but you don't like Joe Burrow, so that's actually.
But it's been
bad.
3
is
straight.
Brock Purdy
But it's
in
been
concussion
not,
protocol. Because this is 2 straight weeks where we saw Brock Purdy take a hit to the head late in the 4th quarter and then just completely unravel after that. I don't know if
It
any
only
word's out
occurs
yet,
when
but
I don't
it's
like.
true
I
of
don't
me.
like that
Brock
they
Purdy's
kept
on
Brock in the
protocol
game
again this
after he like whipped his head back on that one.
It only
play.
happens when it's Tua, Dave.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It was
media's out
because
to
Tua's
get him.
hands were like
Yeah,
fucking.
but it's visually, but it's the same. That's a
all right.
That's a
Well,
No, his
there's-
was worse.
There's your rankings.
no.
Felipe, you're a dog, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Well done.
Worst ones.
I get excited for your power rankings each week because I
I
know
don't.
they're always going to be an interesting take. I think that's all the games we have.
A lot of movement though that
Games?
could happen this weekend.
A lot of movement. This is fun right now. The good teams are losing, right?
This
The
is the
Chiefs
best-
lost. The Niners have lost 3 straight.
This coming Sunday is the best week in football this year.
Oh,
I
it's
think
awesome.
so. Based off what has happened
Bills,
in the recent
Bengals,
past.
Dolphins, Chiefs,
Cowboys,
Eagles,
Eagles.
Cowboys. Yeah, I think there's some other good
And then
games.
Bills, Bengals.
Yeah, Bills, Bengals Sunday
You
night.
said that? Oh, I thought I can't think.
You're okay.
Don't forget the Giants game. Whoever they're playing is going to be elite. Let's see who it is. I don't even know. Raiders, Giants,
That's
Raiders.
disgusting.
No way.
Dave,
Oh,
give me
boy.
a Cowboys-Eagles score prediction.
Cowboys, Eagles. I think that's going to be a little bit lower scoring than people expect. I think both defenses are pretty good. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles winning 24-21.
See, I don't think you're taking into account that Dak is 8-3 against the Eagles in his career. Just want to put that out there.
Also never played Jalen Hurts.
Yep, never played Jones.
That's true.
Wait, Dave, I got a question for you before we wrap. You're a fantasy guy. What is your hottest take for the second half of the fantasy season?
Ooh, that's a good one. I already talked about Rashee Rice a little bit. I think he's a guy that's
love
going to
him.
carve out a really big role. Talked about Zach Charbonnet a little bit being a dog. I think that we're already starting to see it. He outsnapped Kenneth Walker last week. I don't know if Zach Charbonnet is going to have like elite upside, but I think it's going to be just enough to really annoy Ken Walker fantasy managers.
Hell yeah.
My hottest take though, I think Tyreek Hill goes for over 2,000 this year. I mean, he's on pace to do it. I don't even know if that's spicy at this point, but I think that he is going to go for over 2,000 yards and have the best fantasy season we've ever seen from a wide receiver. There's no signs that he's going to slow down what he's doing so far. So I don't know if that's spicy enough for you.
I love that.
Ladies and
I
gentlemen,
love
Dave
You told he's a
Kluge.
Dolphins fan?
Adam's a big Dolphins fan, Miami guy, so he's gonna need to change his
Looks like a
pants.
big Browns fan.
You know, I got to say, I ate crow on my Tua take. I was not a Tua fan coming into the league. I was making jokes when they signed Tyreek Hill about how he wouldn't be able to hit Tyreek deep, and you know, I got egg all over my face. That was one of the worst calls I had, man. Tua is balling out right now. I think you guys got yourself a really, really good quarterback there.
Thanks, Dave.
MVP.
Hey, we need more people like you in this world right now, okay? Apologetic people.
All right, well, Dave, you're a legend, man. Thank you for coming on. This is a great time. Appreciate you playing these games with us, and hopefully we'll have you on another time soon this season.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dave.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for listening to the Caps Off podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye. Peace. Disagree with any of these takes? Let us know in the comments. Also, go follow Dave Kluge on Twitter. He's an absolute beast. And be sure to hit that subscribe button for us below.